God damn it. Welcome to Caleb Can't Read. I'm Jordan Rabel.
I'm Caleb Terrence.
All right. Okay. Good?
We're good.
Okay, we're good.
I'm ready
All
to
right.
go.
All right.
All right.
So, we're not going to have any smooth segues. We're just going to go right into it.
We are not discussing.
Nope.
I'm not saying the word. We're not doing it. Okay, I'm here. We're ready. We didn't ask for that to happen, but it did, and we're moving on. We're not mentioning it.
We're not mentioning it.
No. Okay. What do we got today?
All 7 of those, previous us, recordings of us
It's about to be 8 if you don't move the fuck on.
I'm just saying.
Jesus.
Those are for us to hold dear in our hearts. That's ours. They can't have that. Not what's between you and me. So as a recap.
Fuck you. No.
As a recap. So, Ayn Rand, she comes to America. She tries to make it in the movie business. And really, it feels like that's everything that she's been trying to do. She got a job with fucking Cecil B. DeMille, who I don't... does that name sound familiar to you at all?
Dude, it's ringing a bell, but
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
But I'm doing the thing where, I have heard of him, but I have no idea.
Yeah, he did a bunch of, very early...
Is it embarrassing that I don't know who that is?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He's a film geek's, legend. But it's, it's fine.
Okay.
It's embarrassing if you don't know who Steven Spielberg is. Somebody says, the guy who did the fucking Fountainhead movie was King Vidor. Nobody knows who that is unless you're a film student, really. But he's a fantastic director. Yeah. But anyways.
Example right here. Not a film student, no idea who that is.
So, alright, so basically, she comes to America, she gets a job with Cecil B. DeMille and everything. She's ready to go on living her dream in Hollywood as a screenplay writer and everything. But she tries selling off a script, it's shit. She turns it into a book, We the Living. It's still shit. She ends up making a second book called Anthem. It's still shit. She tries to make a Broadway play off of her first book, We the Living.
Wait, that one was good, right?
No, shit.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you'll remember, The Fountainhead, on a scale from 1 to 10, shit. And then she gets a movie made of that.
Scale breaking.
It's scale breaking. Straight into the fucking dirt. And they make a movie of The Fountainhead. Turns out, shit. So, and that's where we last left off. She has been failing upwards for so long because...
Just bumblefucking her way through this.
Because people just think that she's saying what needs to be said. She's the only one who's, if you'll remember the word, brave enough to do any of this. She's the one who's actually going to say, no, fuck the communists. And it's yeah, but it's America back then, and everyone's saying fuck the communists, so it's not really a big deal.
Even though all this stuff is, badly reviewed, is she gaining, a following?
She's gaining a following.
Okay.
But if you'll remember... Any psychopath in America today, the televangelists who very clearly should not be having anyone follow them, have millions of followers. People throw their entire pensions at them. This is just the sad truth. If you're insane, people are going to follow you.
So reviewers and most of, people's opinions at the time is that it's trash.
It's just
she
bad,
is going after the lowest common denominator there. And just,
but the whole thing is, and so here's the sad little thing about this. Russian writers, in reality... bar none, Russia produces the best writers in history. Always. 100% of the time, no matter what generation, no matter what decade, it's always fucking Russia. Best. But she comes along, and it's not I don't think people have that in the back of their mind, but she's coming from a far-off land where people are just kind of you don't have the internet to expose you so much, so she's kind of just this foreign lady, and we're supposed to be kind of at intellectual war with this other country, and here she comes, telling it like it is, and these people just have to kind of take her word for it. Which she isn't.
They don't have
she's no.
Don't give them any credit. Don't be you have to be a dipshit.
No, and that's the thing is that on the barest scale, she's not wrong. Soviet Union was shitty, but she's embellishing everything and saying my idea is this, and then she ends up sounding like a philosopher eventually. And right now with The Fountainhead, we have the first little tidbits of that. As I mentioned before in the last episode, she has written a fan fiction for a philosophy of hers that does not yet exist. So she released something to prove herself correct before she even like set out the door and said, "This is why I'm right." She's already set up her argument in the form of a horrible, horrible book.
All right.
So, despite the shit heap of a film, The Fountainhead, getting made, her work with helping one slightly financially successful movie getting made gave her a small career working scripts for Hollywood. And I say it was barely financial successful. Here's the thing. The Fountainhead had a budget of $2.3 million. I'm rounding down here. Her, American box office return was $2.1 million. It did not hit the mark. But internationally, $2.9 million. So they saw a return of about $500,000. It's not that fucking good, but it still made a return, which, you could say that's a little bit better.
You're not going to give her any more money, but...
No, her career in Hollywood is done. But, at least in terms of, if you'll remember, they brought her in, and they were like, we want you to work on all of this. You have enough people in high places giving you credit. We're going to give you full credit. We want you to work the script. We want you to make the decisions. She was essentially playing producer. Turns out that was the wrong fucking thing to do, because she has no idea what she's doing anytime.
Hey, fake it till you make it, right?
She's trying.
That always works.
The problem is that she
doesn't have tragic consequences every fucking time.
She thinks that she's made it and that no one's listening to her. And it's like, no, that's the problem, dear. Everyone's listening to you and they shouldn't be. So Hollywood has taken her off of her high horse there, and they let her basically doctor scripts a little bit. Scripts for movies, they typically have 1 to 2 names on there, but in reality, there's around 10 people that actually, it passes through their hands, and those 2 people start it usually, and then they have the final say. So she was helping doctor some scripts. She helped write 2 movies, a noir film called Love Letters, and a war romance called You Came Along. Both were critically panned, though, unfortunately, and her having her name on it doesn't really help. But it was soon after this that...
They just see your name under it, and they're like, fuck yeah, I can't wait. Just getting to... Just
I feel
ready.
like there would be an audience for this nowadays, where it's Tommy Wiseau comes out with a new movie, and people are just like, oh, here we go. Or you know what? Actually, Tommy Wiseau, kind of an accidental genius in his own right. What I'm gonna say,
don't say it's genius.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's just...
She's closer to Uwe Boll. Do you remember Uwe Boll?
Who the fuck is Uwe Boll?
He's the guy that only does video game movies, and he's the worst director.
Okay, what video game movies?
Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, House of the Dead, there's a Jason Statham one. He does only bad films. I think Prince of Persia might have been his.
Ooh, yeah.
He's very, very bad, but people love to see his movies because they love to rag on him. It could have been her, but I doubt it. Oh shit, here's my pen. But anyways, it was soon after this that Ayn became a player for the United States in the House of Un-American Activities Committee during the Red Scare in the late 40s. She basically became a character witness on the stand, no matter if she met these people or not, saying, "This movie doesn't paint Russia in a bad enough light. Bet the director loves communism. Bet he's a real commie bastard." Just, they have nothing to go off of except her word, the fact that she lived in communist Russia. And they're just as whatever she says goes, essentially. She even went out of her way to try and get other movies in front of the courts that weren't even being investigated. And she was told to cool her shit eventually. She was just, she thought she was helping, being in the limelight, and all of a sudden she's running around being like, this one, this one, this one, this one. And they're like, stop.
Wait, so she's fucking snitching?
It's not even snitching. She's making shit up.
Oh, man.
Because she loves to be in the limelight. She's getting this new sense of, I'm on the stand, people are listening to her. And honestly, that's all that she's really going to go for. Ayn Rand moved from LA to New York in 1951 and started a philosophy group with some friends. Here's where we're going to get into trouble. Now, she essentially became the Fountainhead character Ellsworth Toohey, the architect critic who was a bad guy for no real reason. He had a small collective of people who thought that he was the shit, and then he had them go out and, like, fuck with, Howard Rourke's stuff and everything. He was the main villain of the book for no reason other than the book needed one. So, she actually started sleeping with one of the members of the group with the okay of her husband, Frank O'Connor. I mean, what's 22 years of marriage if you ain't swinging, you know?
I mean, yeah, and I'm sure that was the first time.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Anyway, while Rand technically began the writing for Atlas Shrugged back in 1946, she had the idea since 1943 based on a phone conversation she had with a friend who probably just told her, "And girl, you should do it. You should write that down," and didn't realize what kind of hell she actually unleashed. She took a long break away from writing Atlas Shrugged while making the Fountainhead movie. While she was with friends in New York, she used them to bounce ideas around and read the drafts. She completed her novel 10 years later in 1956. Now, due to her contract with Bobbs-Merrill for publishing The Fountainhead, they got first dibs on Atlas Shrugged. However, they, for good reason, wanted to change certain aspects of the novel to make sure it would sell well. When Rand refused, they dropped her. A friend of hers suggested she go to a company called Random House to publish her story, who she did eventually go with. She actually sent the script around to different publishers to see how many changes they would make, and went with the one that had the least to say. Now, with all that behind us, let's get into the story of the current 26th longest novel ever written, Atlas Shrugged.
Fuck.
No, it's even better, because last episode I thought it was the 27th longest. I was wrong.
Did you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Oh.
I was close. The story begins on a rainy day in the future. Eddie Willers is a man working for Taggart Transcontinental in New York. I hope you like trains, because holy shit.
Oh, he's a train dude?
This book is about trains.
I mean, those guys are weird. I mean, I
hope you have a penchant for kindergartners, because, boy, train guys love...
You ever just, like, been to one of those dudes' houses and, like in their middle age?
Dude.
You go through, everything's completely fucking normal, and they bring you down to their basement. It's very well fucking lit. Okay, this is sounding weird.
My grandfather was one. My grandfather was a train man.
And he puts on a little conductor hat and shows you, like, all his meticulously made...
Actually, everything was still in the boxes. He was a collector.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, it's even worse.
It's just kind of...
I don't know.
I was just thinking money in. I'm talking about, like, the impressive ones. You were, like, roll down there and there's, like, a whole, like, scale landscape that they've made and shit.
Yeah.
It's madness.
It's madness. The guy's sitting here telling me about how he painted all of his Warhammer figurines, but I'll tell you what.
Getting to that.
It takes patience.
I'm getting to that. Why don't we talk about how fucking weird that is? But no. We're going to dog on the Warhammer guy all fucking day.
I'm just saying, it takes skill, though. I mean,
at least mine shoot shit.
Well, here's
I mean, in my head, it's just dice roll. But go on. I don't want to talk about this.
So Eddie Willers, he's working for Taggart Transcontinental in New York, handing a homeless guy some cash. He asks the transient some question to which he responds, "Oh, hell, I don't know. Who is John Galt?" Which is a phrase people use to mean, who the hell knows? That's all that means. It's just like, I don't know, fuck, who is John Galt? People just get away with it. It's a question without an answer. Eddie meets with his boss, the president of the railway company Taggart Transcontinental, Jim Taggart. There's been another wreck on the Rio Norte line. But the railway can't be repaired unless Taggart gets the steel from the struggling Boyle Steel Company.
Oh, this is fucking riveting.
I'm glad you mentioned rivets. So.
Fuck! You, man.
And Eddie asks Jim, why not use the much better Reardon steel? But Jim reminds Eddie that Orrin Boyle is a good buddy of his, and he just needs a break.
Jordan, holy shit, please skim over this. If I wanted to talk shop, I would have stayed at work today. Okay? No.
Meanwhile, on the Rio Norte line is Jim Taggart's sister, Dagny, going to inspect the damage. Now, she's going to be the real main character of this. While on this journey, Dagny hears someone whistling a beautiful song. Turns out to be a brakeman on the train. When she asks him what song it is, he tells her, it's Richard Halley's Fifth Concerto. She points out that that's impossible because Halley only ever had 4 concertos before he disappeared.
Of course.
And the brakeman totally avoids her before he himself just quickly vanishes amongst the workers. When Dagny meets with her brother Jim, she tells him the damage on the Rio Norte line is worse than they thought, and because of that, she's canceled the order with the Boyle Steel Company, made a new one with the experimental Reardon steel. Jim gets pissed because no one actually tried that experimental steel before, but Dagny, she's too brave. Meanwhile...
Wait, are we... Okay.
What?
Alright.
Are you following?
No. This may be embarrassing. Okay, are we talking about Dude's book right now? Or is this Atlas Shrugged?
Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Oh, I thought... Okay, based on how this was... No. Based on, like, just how fucking much this wasn't engaging at all, even in just, like, a rough outline that you've made, I assumed it was Train Guy shit. I didn't know it was Atlas Shrugged.
No, the Train Guy shit is... This is the book. The book is about Train Guy stuff.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, man. It's all about trains. That's why I told you. I hope you like fucking trains, man. Daddy need it.
Nice. That was a good slurp. That was a really good slurp.
Oh, Daddy. So, meanwhile, Reardon pours his experimental steel. And after a long day of work, comes home to a family that hates him for how much of an individual he is. Why does he have to be such a good worker, like some kind of fucking asshole? Now, next few chapters are filled with under-the-table deals.
Oh my God, I wish that's how that worked.
What, go home and be called an asshole?
If I worked too hard, yes. As opposed to the opposite. Like, if I could be praised for just being a piece of shit.
See, I get overworked, and I'm just an asshole at work. And people just accept it. So, I mean, I guess it kind of trades off.
I mean, it's not accepted.
Like, they're not wrong.
I'm at the point where I'm skilled enough to where I'm allowed to be an asshole, and I make them enough money to where they're not going to care.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, no, totally. Like, you know.
Now, next few chapters are filled with under-the-table deals that, if I tried to summarize them, would just get too confusing. All you need to know is that there's a secret meeting between Jim Taggart, the guy who owns this fucking train business, and his friend Orrin Boyle of Boyle Steel, and a few other key players. Basically, what they plan to do is take out Boyle Steel's competitor, Reardon, the guy with the experimental metal, and Taggart's competitor who makes railroads closer to the Midwest. They plan on doing this by getting some buds in Washington to pass a few laws, which, I mean, that is kind of closer to reality. That's what happens. That's lobbying. She makes it closer to, like, a bunch of guys getting together in a fucking, like, big steel-headed thing in the middle of the swamp and just being like, Cheetah, what's your plan? Like, I'm going to have the steel, you know, where it's like, in reality, all these people just wear suits and they just meet in the lobby with politicians to pass laws.
Yeah, it's just not fun to look at, but it's just shit.
It's just, yeah. This is just Washington. So the anti-dog-eat-dog rule is enacted, which means that although the competing railway company is doing better financially, the Taggart company was there first, so the other company has to close down. So they're no longer... I mean, she's making strawman arguments against capitalism, but that's not capitalism. That's fair market trade. I mean, so... While Dagny can't convince the owner of the other railway company to fight the decision and retire, he does let her know that the crazed oil tycoon, Ellis Wyatt, was using his railway before, so now he's their problem. And he's a crazy guy, so he's like, hey, with new responsibilities comes new problems, all right? Now, originally, the super secret plan that Taggart and Boyle made was knowing Reardon would never be able to cover all that space, but Reardon is looking quite promising instead. Now, a man from the State Science Institute comes around looking to buy the recipe for Reardon steel, but he says no. Because of this, the State Science Institute publishes papers with no evidence, saying that Reardon steel is dangerous, when in reality they're salty because they're the greatest scientists in the world, and they failed at making the greatest metal ever instead of just some guy. So Taggart Transcontinental stock crashes, people resign from the company, and railway workers refuse to work with Reardon steel. Meanwhile, legislature passes the Equalization of Opportunity Bill, meaning Reardon now has to allow Boyle to use his mines. So basically this guy who's putting in all the work and, you know, actually meaning production times and everything else, he's got to compromise for the guys that just don't want to put in near as much effort.
This is the most bootlicker bullshit that I've fucking ever.
Now, this is millennial. No, I'm kidding.
God damn it.
The Rio Grande line is completed and even includes a bridge completely made from Reardon steel. Dagny renames it the John Galt Line. The train ride is smooth and carries a full load of Ellis white soil. It's a...
God damn, I hate this.
It's a resounding success. To celebrate, Dagny and Reardon bone. It just happens. Don't question it. But
is this what business owners read?
At least it's
fun,
consensual.
Like in their downtime.
This time.
This is business owner like.
Yeah, it reads like like a history manual. Like just.
It reads like a fucking automotive manual. Is what it fucking reads like.
Flip to the back of like a Ma and Pa's like menu, and it tells you like our story. Back when I had gonorrhea in the summer of '29, I decided to butter my balls, you know, and it's like always just, it does kind of read like this.
Right.
In a weird bit of relaxation, Reardon and Dagny decide to go to the 20th Century Motor Company looking for spare machine parts. They find the manufacturing plant completely abandoned and in an act of desperation decide to investigate. What they find are plans for an engine that would run on static electricity. They're determined to find the genius who came up with it. Going through a very complicated list of people, Dagny and Reardon discover what happened to the plant. Basically, it went full communist with its wages and the factory had to close.
Jesus. Full communist with its wages?
Do you know how it ended up doing that? With a union. The union decided what was best for the worker instead of the smart man who started the business and let them just earn 20 cents an hour. He is a visionary, and the unions fucked it up. That's what happened. Now the person...
Look, man, we're just saying maybe get it down to one ridiculously big house. Suck my cock instead of 5. Like, oh man, I got expenses. I can't afford to pay for all the shit. As he's like, you know, he like gets out. He's like, okay, I'm going on my fishing trip. New boat towed behind his like massive fucking Toyota Tundra. Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah,
like,
please stop talking about all the bosses that I've had in the past. Like, just
yeah, no.
How am I supposed to pay for my summer house in the Hamptons?
Jordan,
you don't. You can't afford it, son.
Jordan, that's why it's okay to say, is because it relates to literally everyone, and they can't narrow that down to any boss that we've had. Like, that's a regular behavior.
Brian. I think Brian was like that.
Was he? Well,
yeah.
Oh, okay. You're not supposed to name drop directly.
I didn't say his last name. I don't even remember his last name.
It's a very common name. I've known many Brians.
I'm gonna say the dead-eyed Brian.
Okay, yeah, but if
he was very dead-eyed.
But if you say Brian and then the boss that I had, that narrows it down.
To what? 20 different jobs I've had?
You've had 20 different jobs?
I've had a lot of part-timers.
You've had 20 different jobs, and then you've had dudes named Brian working over you at 20 different jobs.
I've had 2.
You had 2 Brians?
I had 2 Brians.
Okay, you see how this is quickly?
It's the one that didn't work at Abercrombie.
Fucking idiot. Like,
that Brian was an asshole too, though, so you know what? Yeah, fuck you, Brian. Anyway, so they find out that that's how the plant closed and everything, right? Now, the person giving them all this information is a line cook that refuses to give up the identity or location of the designer of the static electricity engine, but he gives Dagny a clue, a cigarette with a gold $sign stamped onto it. What do you think it tasted like?
Money. I don't know. Like, it's more of a status thing at that point. Like,
tastes like the hair of a poor man.
Tastes like security. Money doesn't buy happiness.
Nah, it'll trickle down in a month or 2.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember those black cigarettes that like tasted kind of like cotton candy? Do you remember those?
What the fuck are you talking about? Cloves?
No.
Black cigarettes that tasted like cotton candy.
Yeah. They were expensive, but it was before vaping, so it was like...
No, dude.
Yeah. Thank God vaping came around. God knows how they fucking made those.
No, when I smoked, I never encountered cigarettes that tasted like cotton candy because I'm not, a massive pussy, Jordan.
I am, and it tasted good.
If you're going to smoke cigarettes.
No.
Just take it. It's terrible. It's horrible for you.
Take it.
It's the worst thing in the world, but god damn it.
Like, if you're not feeling good, then you're doing it right. Now,
exactly.
Back home, 1 million different laws are passed that give the Taggart Company 100 different guidelines to work with. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, brother.
In response, Dagny tries to talk to the wild oil tycoon Ellis Wyatt. When she gets to his oil fields, she finds that Wyatt has set fire to the refinery and disappeared. Now, supposedly there was...
It's a pro-gamer move.
Well, there were reasons to lead up to this, so you think in the book, but really when you summarize, like I have, there's no reason for this guy. No, really, though. I mean, like, you're kind of led to believe that there are reasons why he's done this, but in reality, no, he had no connection to anything that was happening.
So are you telling me, like, the way she wrote it was like, oh, and the oil refinery's on fire, and there were reasons. Moving on.
Yeah, basically, like you're seeing the whole world kind of starting to go to shit. Like, basically, in this dystopia, which, I mean, this is in a future, this is basically the end of the world, like, the last few years of the world, like...
Talking about the last few years of the world, that's how things have worked my entire fucking life.
It's the last few years of the world because of, like, capitalism is... not capitalism. Communism has
it's not
finally...
communism, it's just unions.
I know. This is Ayn Rand, though.
I hate this fucking lady.
Or should I say socialism? Socialism has finally failed, and now the whole world is about to crumble. And so while everything is going to shit, you're led to believe that this oil tycoon had anything to do with any of the decisions happening, but he didn't. I mean, he's not. Nothing bad is happening to this guy. He's crazy, so he just fucking lit his fields on fire and left.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm biased just because I have been poor for, like, the entirety of my fucking life, but there's... Even if I wasn't reading an outline here, there's going to be no sympathy whatsoever, because I'm just like, oh no, so then I lost all my business and all that potential I had to make even more fucking money, and then I just went to my home and didn't work until I died and was fine. Like,
Don't make it hurt.
I don't fucking care.
Like, now the whole country goes to shit because everyone relied on Wyatt's oil. Now that he's disappeared, it means more people are turning to coal. But even that's hard because the presidents of all these manufacturing firms, they're going missing too. So everyone has to rely on all the second-rate companies for things instead. Meanwhile, yeah, just everyone's out there just like, you know, buying up Mr. Pibb instead of Dr. Pepper, you know? Just fuck. The doctors are all gone and we have to rely on the misters. So, meanwhile, Reardon is having trouble with the fair share law because everyone's being so demanding. You know, like, now he has to supply everyone with his steel. That's the law. But then this random guy comes up to him and says he needs his steel for the State Science Institute for something called Project X.
Sexy.
Yeah, it's a very original name. Reardon says, hey, steal it if you have to, but there's no way I can legitimately get you what you need. I can't even supply these people. And that's a part that comes up in the book around this time, is that this doesn't really matter, but we'll talk about it anyway. There's a character named Francisco da Anconia that is a copper mine owner and a former lover of Dagny Taggart, the girl owner of all the trains. And I haven't really mentioned him yet because his whole character doesn't really serve a purpose. Anyway, Reardon gets in trouble with the law because he can't produce enough steel for everybody that wants it, and Francisco asks Reardon what he would do if he saw Atlas holding the world on his shoulders and saw him losing strength. Reardon doesn't know what he would say because it's a stupid fucking question. And when he asks Francisco what he would say to him, he says, to shrug, like, just drop the earth. You have all this weight on your shoulders? They don't deserve you. If you can't handle me at my shruggiest, you can't...
I get the metaphor. I didn't understand it before. I hate it.
It's not very boss babe of him, I'll tell you.
Dude. Oh my god.
So this somehow inspires Reardon to do what he never had...
Wait. Is the whole Atlas Shrugged thing that the upper class and the rich are holding everything up on their
Yes! That is the purpose of this entire book. That's the exact... Oh, you got it, baby. You got it. There it is. The upper class is holding up everyone. They're the reason we live.
You know how many grown man children I fucking met that were just born into goddamn money I had to make face with in order for me to not fucking starve while they sat on their goddamn asses and didn't do dick? Or thought they knew how to do dick?
Because you know what I find just as troubling is my side of the story is people who were born extremely poor and have that exact same feeling where they're like, no, they should sit there. They ought to do this. And it's like, no, god damn it.
Oh, fucking Christ, dude.
That's right.
No, what they're doing is they're banking on them being, and it's really funny too, because it's always the dumbest motherfuckers that have that attitude, and they're banking on them being the one that gets through the gauntlet to get maybe the cushy position out of all the other fucking people they're working around, right?
They know will. They know they will, though, because laws have been passed by their own kind to stay there.
Yeah, but the tragedy of those people is that they're dumb as shit.
They are.
And they're never going to rise above maybe, I don't know, just being able to afford an apartment, like, comfortably. Because they're not getting promoted anywhere. They're not fucking going, they're not bringing anything to the fucking table. They're just subservient. They're staying there in that fucking role. Like, they're not moving up. The people that are gonna get moved up into those fucking positions, into those big boy, big dick, big American positions, are gonna be people that already have money that those fucking dudes know.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it works, though. I mean, if you have to step down because of something horrible, let's say, for sake of argument, your name is John. People look up to you. They call you Papa John. Now, let's say you have a huge multi-million-dollar business, and you go and you say some things that are a little racial. Now, you have to step down. But you're still making money on the sidelines. They use your name. They use your face. I mean, you're doing everything. Even if you don't make any more money, you still have tons to roll back on. But who's going to run that company? Somebody you fucking know. You're not going to, like, not know the name of the guy. It's probably your own fucking son, you know? Like, and then pretty much just, Dad, what do I do? Unofficially, like, tell him to get fucked. Well, I think it's my position and no one else's that maybe get fucked. And then you make $1 million more and you pass half of it behind you. These people always work from the sidelines.
Anyway,
we're going to do this all night. So, telling Reardon that he would, just drop the weight of the earth, or tell Atlas to, somehow inspires Reardon to do what he never had the courage to do before. He tells his family to fuck off. Yeah, he was married the whole time he was bagging Dagny Taggart, but it's his wife that's the problem.
Okay, wait, so he tells his family to fuck off, but we're not talking about, like, parents and siblings. We're talking about his wife and kids.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Actually, I believe his mom does live with him as well, and she's also a problem. So he just tells the whole world to just go fuck themselves.
All of you go fuck, especially...
Fuck you, Timmy.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Also, at Reardon's trial, because he got in trouble for not producing enough steel for everyone, he stands up to the judge and tells him he will not apologize for being a successful businessman and suck his dick. Not really. No. I'm sorry, with just that one line, I'm a better writer than Ayn Rand. But no, he doesn't do that. But basically, I can't hold up production. I can't do all these things that you're telling me to do. So, go fuck yourself. What are you going to do about it?
What do you expect me to do? Take a cut out of what I'm making off of it? No. That's absurd.
The whole courtroom...
That is off the table.
The whole courtroom, no shit, applauds like a bad Tumblr story. Just, how brave! It's just...
the comments after, this.
Yeah, it's just the whole
I can't
courtroom.
stop. Always reblog this.
The whole courtroom
this
just
thing that
up,
totally happened.
This. Reardon thanks Francisco for the courage and tells him he made a deal with his company to just use the Anconia copper as a thank you. Primarily, first and foremost, it's always going to be Francisco da Anconia. Francisco freaks out because without revealing anything, he basically paid a Swedish pirate to sink his shipment of copper to crash his own company. Because of this, Reardon can't produce any steel, and therefore Taggart Transcontinental can't make new railway lines or repair any old ones. Look at that, with just one bad mistake. All of socialism crashes. That's how close we are. Now I want to talk to you a bit about our current administration. No. The American economy begins to tank and lawmakers enact Directive 10-289. This forces all workers to remain at their current jobs or face prison. And all businesses have to remain open. All copyrights are given to the government, and no new inventions are to be made. No new products. Companies just have to produce the same amount of crap they did the year before. Wages and prices are frozen, and every citizen has to spend the same amount of money they did last year.
Dude, I can't imagine living like that. I can't imagine making the same as I did the last year and then just being forced to work. That's...
Can you imagine?
This is getting scary, I'm not going to lie.
Something world-changing happens, and they tell you to just go about your business. Can you imagine? Something world-changing happens, and just, people are out on streets dying, potentially, and they tell you don't worry about it. Weird.
Well, you're not... Well, at least now we're not forced to. We'll just, lose,
I have seen the...
I don't like to explain myself. Go on.
I have seen the motherfucker that wears a giant ice cream costume at Baskin-Robbins be called a frontline worker. He had to get a fucking sticker for his badge at work because so that if the cop pulled him over, he'd be like, look, I can't work from home. Like,
I cannot.
I cannot wave in a giant...
If I stream this, no one gives a shit.
He's screaming for ice cream.
God damn it.
Look, all I'm gonna say is I've been in jobs before where I got out my anger before I went to work. I would just scream for the 40 minutes that took me to get there. Just driving as safely as I could in traffic.
What was that you told me? Like, yeah, when you're getting to the point where you're driving there and then you're seriously considering just throwing the wheel to the corner and then just seeing what happens instead of going, it's time to make a move.
I mean, with the job I have now, at least I wear my seatbelt,
That's promising.
So Reardon is visited one night.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like reel back or something.
Reardon is visited one night by the pirate that sank the shipment of Da Anconia copper. He's a Swede by the name of... Go ahead, I wouldn't want to interrupt this name.
I don't care if you did.
Ragnar Dennisgurd. And he's giving Reardon a bar of gold, telling him it's a partial repayment for paying his taxes to a corrupt government, and it represents justice. It's worth $1,400, but the next time, it's $600. No, I'm kidding. Reardon is... Okay, alright, so get the shit. One of the Taggart transcontinental trains stalls. It's out of oil. And because there really isn't any oil left... Ever since Ellis Wyatt burned his oil fields and fucked off, they would have to resort to a coal-burning engine. Problem is, they're about to go through a miles-long mountain tunnel, and nobody wants to put the coal engine into place because the fumes will kill everyone on board. But there's a politician on the train who demands Jim Taggart to do it anyway, so they do. And the train stalls in the tunnel and kills everyone on board. And then a munition train collides with the Taggart train and blows up the tunnel. Well, I couldn't see them because they were in the tunnel, right?
Was this written better than it sounds?
No, not really. Like,
honestly,
okay, it's because even then it's like, okay, it's like the thing that I talked about before where it's like the whole world is going to shit and you're just led to believe that something happened to this oil baron that lives out in the middle of nowhere, has no communication with anyone, and he just fucked off and
did she
left.
Really write off that him burning his
he
oil
just does.
Fields cut off access to everyone's oil? Why wouldn't just anybody else who had oil just immediately fill that gap? I don't... So
this train is stalled. And then a munition...
Right.
It goes by very fast.
Really? Really?
No, here's the thing. Okay, no, here's the thing. So, like I said, though, Russian writers, they are very good. I am going to give credit where it's due. Her prose...
I don't think anybody's like, how dare you talk shit about Russian
writers.
No.
I'm leading up to it. But here's the thing. She is a pretty good writer when it comes to, like, if you gave her an idea that wasn't political... and didn't try to, like, I'm not pulling any punches. I'm about to say how I really feel. It's like...
Look out, snowflakes.
Yeah, pretty much. If she wasn't writing Bootstraps, the novel, then she would probably do pretty well. We talked about it last episode with We the Living, her first book. There were parts in there that talked about living in Soviet Russia that were good. Like, it's not just the fact that these are... like, depressing ideas. She presented them in a way that was good. Now, everything leading up to this point as far as, like like talking about, you know, like, hey, the train stalled and we need to put in another engine and everything. I will say it's actually a pretty good part. I do enjoy that part. Basically, there's like one guy who gets the order to install the coal burning engine, and he's like, fuck no, I'm not going to do that. And then it keeps going down the line, and it turns into this whole thing where people are pretty much like, basically it's like an episode of the West Wing where they're just waiting for like one person to say yes, but nobody will do it. And it's the only time that they say the F word in the entire book is there's a guy that says like, fuck you, you know, or something like that, and then a conductor punches him in the mouth or something, you know, and that part was cheesy. But like, that was like 20 pages of people basically going down the line, and it was pretty all right. But by the time the train stalls, you've got not very long before, out of fucking nowhere, a munitions train just like and it sounds like a horrible punchline, and that's really how it is. Yes.
No, it's the absence of a punchline.
It's kind of the best. It's kind of the best punchline, actually. It's just like it's an anti-joke, you know? It's great, actually.
Anti-jokes are only funny if they're intentional. And then they're still not funny.
That's true.
That's the whole...
No, there's okay. No, here's a great one. I love it. It's short, everything. All right.
No,
it's not what you think.
Please.
It's not the clown one. That's long.
I don't care. I don't like it.
A salesman's car breaks down on the side of the road. He goes up to a nearby farmhouse, knocks on the door. The farmer answers the door. He says, "Excuse me, sir, may I use your telephone?" He says no and shoots him in the head with a shotgun.
That was...
That's pretty funny.
No, man, the worst... See, that's... No, you can't just tell a shit joke and then just laugh your ass off yourself in the corner while your buddy's stern-faced. It's not...
I can and I am.
No, I'm thinking less that's funny. Well, pull out of that, Jesus! Get out of there! Get out of there! Fuck!
When Dagny is on...
sick ass.
When Dagny is on her way to...
No, not sick. Whatever you got going on, yeah.
Oh, it's I don't know, whooping cough? I don't know, fuck off. I don't know.
Forever.
It's whatever. I'm just an ugly, I'm ugly inside and out.
I know.
You're watching me sweat over here. Just, I got my basketball shorts on.
Yeah, dude, just looking like a fucking basted ham.
Oh.
Jesus, Murph.
Oh.
Brother.
Ah.
Oh, man.
Thigh slaps. All right. So, when Dagny is on her way to inspect the damage of the tunnel, she meets a train-hopping hobo who tells her he used to work for the 20th Century Motor Company.
Oh, I'm sure this will be great.
There he was, jerking off, telling me about the static motion machine. So, the 20th Century Motor Company, that's the place where Dagny and Reardon found those plans for a static electricity motor, you remember? Now, apparently that whole thing where they went dystopian communist with the wages, made the men quit. The first worker to quit was a man named John Galt. Huh? Who is John Galt?
I don't know.
Huh? Turns out it's not so much of a, who knows question anymore. It is truly, who is he? What? Now, he said he would stop the motor of the world. As the factory started slowly crumbling around them, the other workers thought maybe he'd succeeded. And the workers, in no way that made sense, started asking, who is John Galt? Like, they know who he is. He quit last month.
But who? Who is John Galt? All right, I'm following. Go on. I'm game. I'm here now.
It's almost as if once he left, the memory of him left too. When Dagny gets to the train...
Was he really?
I think... he may have been an engineer.
Go on.
Did he work in the mailroom? Did he refill the water tank? When Dagny gets to the train station nearest to the Colorado mountain wreck, she needs to get on a personal plane to get the rest of the way to the crash site. As she's getting on her plane, she notices the guy who she wanted to rebuild the static engine getting on another plane. And he's smoking a gold $ cigarette. I don't know how she notices that
imagine it. It's going to catch light. That's...
You think?
Yeah.
How big is that cigarette? Like, she's at an airfield.
But how far away is he?
Well, I don't know. How close are personal planes? Even if he's just across the runway, like, not even long ways, but short ways. Guy pulls out a smoke and she's like, that's a gold dollar sign.
Whoa.
How?
Whoa.
What?
Okay, if you smoke cigarettes,
Mhm.
you gotta remember how your brain works at that point. Anytime you're seeing somebody whip out a cigarette, or you're seeing something with the same color as the pack of cigarettes you have, or you just see the combination of that weird little orange and that white, you're immediately zeroing in on it. And I'm actually gonna say that if there's
It's
something...
not orange. It's gold. It's brighter than that.
That's what I'm getting at, is that if there's anything different there, you're immediately zeroing in and noticing it if you're a cigarette smoker.
It's blending in with the white. It has to.
No.
You think it
No, it
shines?
doesn't. I swear to fucking
Gold
God.
doesn't shine.
If you, at some point in your
Alright.
life, are a long-term cigarette smoker, that's actually not that
You know what?
outlandish.
We're going to get different cigarettes. I'm going to hold them out from like 50 feet away, which even then I think is going to be ridiculous. Like, for her to be that span away, just that short of a span, no way. She has to be at least 100 feet away. At least. They're planes on an airfield. You gotta have a little turning space. I'm gonna hold up different cigarettes. You tell me what the fuck they are.
I'm not saying it's good or that it's, like, good writing. I'm just saying, like, yeah, no, clearly she smokes cigarettes. She knows how that works.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Backpedaling, the podcast.
Fuck you, fat ass.
So the guy that they wanted to try and rebuild the static engine, he's hopping on another plane. Now, she's been noticing that every fucking smarty pants has been going missing. You got Ellis Wyatt, you got Francisco de Anconia, you've got all these guys. So she starts to follow this guy to see where he's flying to. And, I mean, she's, she, like, literally, like, in a plane just, like, follow that one. And like a woman in an Ayn Rand novel, she crashes the plane into the fucking Colorado mountains. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's out of her womanly element. Dagny wakes up to discover she has been carted off to a remote village in the Colorado mountains. It's probably just Denver. Populated entirely by all the smart people that have gone missing. That composer, Richard Halley, is there. Well, he didn't make a fifth concerto. Turns out he did while he was here. And that brakeman, he listened to his new song before jumping back out into the world. Ellis Wyatt is there. Even Francisco de Antonia is there. And the whole community is being run by none other than John Galt, and powered by his magic engine. Nobody is allowed to live there until they say, I swear by my life and my love of it, that I will never live for the sake of another man, nor ask another man to live for mine. And you have to mean it, too.
Can they tell?
Yeah, somehow.
This is like for realsies, not for play.
These are business owners, Caleb. These are the most intelligent people on the planet. I mean, they're rich for a reason. At dinner,
I can tell when somebody means it.
At dinner, John Galt tells Dagny that dumb workers get to strike and get whatever they want, but all these poor rich people don't get to. So this is it. He tells her, this is the mind on strike. Huh? This is the mind on strike. Huh?
The mind of it all.
On strike. Yeah. See, all these fucking lazy people, they just get more and more lazy. All of a sudden they strike. What do they get? They get more benefits. Are they getting treated more like people? No, they were already being treated like people when they didn't get,
Look, what
money.
all you need to understand is that if you're actually able to comfortably live and afford just goddamn food and not worry about your future, then it breaks society.
Do you remember that thing on Fox where they had, like, these supposed poor people on welfare? 50% of them own a fridge. It's like, you're gonna need a fridge.
Really? Okay. That fucking cracks me up because, like, 50% of poor people owning a fridge is like, wait, do you mean there's a fridge in their rental space?
That's what they mean. Yes.
Okay, then say that.
Which honestly is a little bit even more terrifying when you consider the fact that you're renting a place so shitty that you can barely provide for yourself where it doesn't even have a fridge in it.
Did you know they can refrigerate their groceries?
Oh my god. Yeah, anyway, we're not going to get too into that because oh my god. Anyway. So, the government unleashes Project X. I don't know if you remember about that. It was just a snippet in there. Basically, they came up to Reardon and they were like, hey, we need some steel for Project X. Turns out it's a giant sound weapon that can blow shit up. The end. That's it. No, that's not the end.
For reasons.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Anyway, Dagny returns home where she gives a passionate speech about individualism. She later bones John Galt in a tunnel. Is it sounding like a cult yet? I mean, that's kind of what they're known for doing, is just like, give me your women and only listen to me.
Boning in cults?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Boning in tunnels in cults, I mean.
I think a lot of cults are probably taking place in, like, abandoned subway tunnels, yeah. I like to imagine they are.
I don't know, I have no idea how that world
Have
works.
you never played Fallout? Alright, so anyway, it's pages upon pages of more political talk and passing legislation where basically the United States is crumbling, and to try and save their own asses, the shitty industrialists like Jim Taggart and Orrin Boyle just keep taking more and more from Reardon. Eventually, there's a riot at Reardon's steel mill, and Angonia saves them from a murderous crowd. The whole country riots, and it's announced that the head of state will give a radio speech to address the crisis. However, as the speech is about to begin, the airwaves are pirated, and a voice is heard.
How the fuck? Like a radio? This has got to be radio at the time. How many?
Huh?
No, never mind.
This is the
Go on.
future.
We're in the future.
We're in the future, and it's about trains, yes. And
Nice.
the speech is about to begin, but the airwaves are pirated, and a voice is heard. This is John Galt speaking. What follows are the driest pages a person has ever written. Last episode, I alluded to that part of the book. This is that part of the book.
Are you about to do this, like...
56 pages of John Galt barfing objectivism over the fucking radio. He says the speech is only supposed to take something like 30 minutes, but I'll be honest, chipping away at this fucking speech is what cost me 6 months of my goddamn life.
6 months?
Dude, because I can only read so much at a time. And me, I'm a completionist. I don't skip pages, which I eventually learned to do, but this is...
Are there other people that read things that skip pages? What does
Well,
that make
okay,
you completionist?
I'll explain. I had to skip pages when I was reading American Psycho, because it was like, oh, are we just torturing an old man and a dog for 6 pages? I think I'll skip that.
How are you gonna read through the... Okay, you
That
got
was-
you got all these books here, in your book garage,
Yeah,
and
it's a room in my house.
yeah, your book garage, and I have way less respect for you knowing that you just hit parts and you were like, fuck that, and moved on. Like,
All I'm saying is that
is that what everybody who does this hobby does? Or
No.
you just, or you
I'm not
just
saying
suck?
I'm not saying I skip pages only for particular books. I learned to skip, like, maybe I should skip pages when I was reading American Psycho, and I did.
What else did you skip on?
I should have done
You
it on
fake
this.
bitch.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that I've skipped on so far. But I should have learned my lesson from this.
Alright.
So far, it's only been American Psycho. Just watch the movie. The movie is funny. The book is not.
Well, yeah, the movie's fucking fantastic.
The book is just gore porn. It's really gross. It's fucking nasty.
Anyway.
The politicians are visibly shaken by John Galt's knowledge and bravery. They quickly use Dagny to get to him. The politicians literally hold a gun to John Galt, telling him to fix our economy. They put him on TV to tell everyone what to do, and he just tells people he's being forced to do this by literal gunpoint. They start torturing John Galt with something called Project F. Which is just electrocution, by the way. It's just a fucking car battery. But Galt says nothing. Jim Taggart is there, and upon seeing how much of a monster he becomes, he faints. Meanwhile, 2 scientists duke it out over Project X, and it just explodes and annihilates hundreds of miles of countryside. In a quick who gives a fuck ending, Dagny, Francisco, and the rest of the brain people stage a heroic gunfight and rescue John Galt. It's over very quick. They quickly move to the Colorado mountains to start their new utopia, and yet, out in the plains of America, the stupid working people begin to think for themselves. Finally.
Whoa,
the
what the fuck?
end. It really is gone in that many pages.
Can we talk about how fucking okay?
So she,
please excuse me if this is if I don't know how this works. Just blatantly, and I'm being a dipshit. But you went to start a utopia in the mountains, and then all the poor people were down in the plains.
Yeah.
Being stupid. Okay, so
they don't know it exists up there, though.
Yeah, I know they don't know. They don't know it exists up there. They don't know it exists up there.
Right.
So, I forgive me if I'm missing something here, but how the fuck are you supposed to grow food to sustain a society, let alone a utopia, in the fucking mountains, as opposed to in the goddamn plains where you can grow some shit?
I'm not even joking. That is the first question that people raised after reading this novel. That was the first thing that critics were talking about, was like,
are you trading with them? Are you what the oh, we just live here and it's fine. What are you eating?
Yeah,
man?
Dude, you're an electrician. You don't know how to grow corn? Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
do you have any idea how specialized societies become at this point? None of you know how to just produce food for yourselves.
That was literally the first point made. Once this book came out, that was like, no joke, the first thing that people were saying was just like, are you fucking stupid? Like,
it doesn't make any. Yeah.
No, really, that was it. Like, there have been entire, just like, there's a online comic that goes into just that, where it's like a few different comic strips.
We moved to the mountains and just went into a utopian society of eating each other until the last person starved to death.
And then when you know it, all of these brain people had to eventually just kind of contribute to farming instead of doing whatever they did before. And then when you look at that, now we have a class system again. Like, it's fucking stupid. Yes.
And they all came down from the mountains and got beat the fuck up. And then given a piece of bread and told to go and dig some shit. I don't know. Like,
look at these people eating their own poop. No, it's just like, it's ridiculous though, because she does these 56 pages about objectivism that supposedly just make all these stupid middle class and lower class people finally somebody has the guts to say it, stand up for themselves, you know? And meanwhile, all the rich people say, you know what, I've had enough of your squabbling, and then they just like fuck off. And yet they're like, just like the munitions train in the fucking mountain, she throws together an ending super fucking fast where John Galt is tortured and like the entire government and US military is there. Who saves him? A guy who owns a copper mine, a fucking guy who built an engine, and a woman who runs trains. They go in there with 3 guns, and they bust him out, and they fly him out to the mountains, and nobody knows where they went, and they start their society there. And it is just a bad ending. I will say, I mentioned this in the last.
Just living off the land.
They're yes. Okay. Look, we don't know how their society goes. Supposedly, there's a genius there who knows how to. He builds the fucking Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs machine.
I can make meat and fucking fiber from the air.
Cheeseburger. Like, yeah, pretty much. You ever see that movie? It's fantastic.
I mean.
And the sequel.
Yeah, but drunkenly.
Well, that's fine. Honestly, kids'
all,
movies
all I
are
remember
like
about that is the Ricardo Milos bit where instead of whatever comes in with the sun shining, everybody going, oh! It's just, him, the gay porn star, dancing, and it's glorious.
Oh. Can't say I saw that. Anyway.
Really? I probably tried to send it to you. Or did you
you know what? Probably.
that was full 2020 Ricardo Milos obsession.
Once I realized, like, oh wait, all he's sending me are Ricardo memes. I just like look at it so it says red, and I just stop reading it. No,
it's not gay. Really. It's about fitness. It's just fitness motivation. That's all.
I remember during the last election, I posted a thing on Facebook that was like, a complete upset, Ricardo wins it all, and it's just a gif of like the maps like going from red and blue going all brown, and then Ricardo pops out, and like my mother-in-law is just like, what the heck? I'm like, I'm sorry, not I.
Oh god. I mean, okay, but back to that, like, that shit just like cracks me up, because like, if any of that was actually how it worked, then
I'm going to get to that as well. They've tried.
No, it's just funny, because it's like, if any of that had actually worked, then unions never would have gained ground, because they literally would have had nothing to leverage with.
Yeah.
strikes would never work. And clearly, as demonstrated, that's not...
Turns out, this is more of a work of fiction than most fiction. I have read Dracula, and I have gained some semblance of believability in the words.
Honestly, from people like this, I'm not surprised that they think this is how it works.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, let's go over some of the themes of Atlas Shrugged.
People born into money, I mean. Sorry, go on.
Like the Fountainhead, this story's main goal is to teach you the propaganda of objectivism. That means that the themes of Atlas Shrugged are just objectivism. That is, standing up for yourself to such a degree that you see yourself better than others. Your main goal is to become a selfish CEO in a world of capitalism. I am going to greatly limit how much we talk about this shitty philosophy because I know people will email me about how I'm wrong and what about the rule of 7 and all this other shit that will not change how absolutely shitty this practice is. It's basically this: ultra-capitalism. You earn your stance in this world by pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, and if something out of your control should befall you, say a global pandemic or a government shutdown or anything, tough shit and you need to make a workaround for it. If you end up poor, no one will help you. And if you end up out of options for work because of, say, a recession, you won't be able to afford food, water, or housing because you don't have any assistance for things out of your control, so you and your family will die.
Dude,
that's it.
I just realized that BioShock.
Yeah.
Andrew Ryan, Ayn Rand. Yeah, okay. But no, I just realized that
I feel like you're following.
The utopian society in the ocean is based off of them saying that it's bullshit with her utopian society in the mountains and seeing how that would collapse, except that,
it's exactly opposite. It's not
exactly
up in the clouds.
opposite.
It's down in the ocean.
Except that it actually functioned for a little bit and took way longer than it actually would.
No, says the man from the capital. That money belongs to us. No, says the Kremlin.
Hey,
that
dude,
money
that
belongs
intro
to the people.
was the tits.
Don't get me wrong. It is a better argument against objectivism than any YouTuber you will watch, and it is a better argument against anyone who has made any art piece or YouTube video or book saying objectivism is good. It's like, no, just go play BioShock and that's basically it.
Yeah, but I knew that it was dogging on her fucking writing and shit, obviously, but I didn't know those details. That's pretty fucking cool.
Andrew Ryan, Ayn Rand,
I didn't realize there was a utopian thing set up at the end of Atlas Shrugged that they were fucking just digging into.
Yeah.
That makes it just that much better.
That's 100% just, yeah.
And it immediately collapsed, even excluding the fact that they wouldn't have food. We're gonna explore this.
Yeah. No, that actually, come to think of it, that's a great way to show it too. You're not going to be able to farm any food in the community from BioShock. In Rapture, you're not going to be able to farm any food because you're in the middle of the ocean.
There were little garden spears and things like that. Yeah. But they were more like parks. You never saw industrial production of food, so it was assumed that they were getting trade from an outside source. But in Atlas Shrugged,
that's exactly what they would have to do with this too, though.
Yeah, but in Atlas Shrugged, they're not. Correct me if I'm wrong. You fucking read it.
Yeah.
Right. So there was no mention of trade or anything, right? So it was just.
You're using your imagination, and that's kind of the.
I like how even to dog on her, they had to bend it to make it even slightly believable.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's basically she's telling you all the reasons why, to an extreme, why any other form of government might be bad. Granted, they're all kind of shitty. We've never solved this, but then when it comes to her thing, she's like, use your imagination. That's all it takes. Now, upon its release, Atlas Shrugged was critically panned. Very bad reviews.
As was the trend for the time, as it is now.
As it is now.
Yeah.
But it sold well because objectivism is something that idiots love. So it pandered to a whole bunch of pseudo-intellectuals who thought it was the best thing ever. Meanwhile, all of the people outside of Ayn Rand's little book group, the real high society people of New York she wanted to rub elbows with, fucking hated it. They all knew it was a stupid book. So as much as the book became a huge seller, the end results...
I am not putting my name anywhere near this.
the end results really bummed her the fuck out. She wanted to be in those intellectual circles. You know, she wanted to rub elbows with all those guys. And they're like, dude, fuck you. Like, are you kidding? Like, I remember when I was reading the book after my friend's dad said, hey, you should try reading it. I'm in the same place in PCC.
Of course, it was libertarian dad or libertarian uncle.
And I'm
the
reading
classics.
it. I'm reading it, and this really annoying kid from my class comes up, and you could tell he thought he was better than everybody else, and of course he had a ponytail. So he comes up.
Ponytail and man tits.
I'm just saying, there's a difference between a man bun and a ponytail. This guy had a straight up very long ponytail, always an intellectual, pseudo-intellectual type, always, 100% of the time. Don't know why. Love Star Trek, always. It's gonna happen. So anyways, he comes up to me and goes, so, are you a Randroid? And I was like, I've never heard that before, and I was like, God, no. Like, as I was reading it, I started to get more of a feeling for what the fuck she was talking about, and I'm like, no, I'm reading it because, I don't know, to get it off my checklist, but there's no way I follow objectivism. And he was like, you don't? Why? And I was like, I thought he was joking. I was like, nobody's ever asked me.
Did you get bait and switched by a neckbeard?
All I said was, it just doesn't. Like, are you kidding? And he just goes, interesting. Like, he won that argument and then just left. You know, it was like, I'd never known anybody to actually take it seriously. Like,
and then,
really?
5 years later, he's, at class on Halloween night with, or not,
to be honest,
not Halloween night, Halloween day, like in Joker makeup, doing bad impressions. And
to be honest, he's probably a trust fund kid who ended up inheriting his parents' fortune and then said, I earned this. You know, like, that's...
Because I'm an intellectual.
Now, like The Fountainhead, this book is often seen as inspiring to high schoolers and college freshmen. The only people to really hold on to the message of are CEOs, and
no way.
And the whole thing is, God is conservative, basically. Atlas Shrugged is a favorite amongst Republican politicians and Fox News anchors like Paul Ryan or Glenn Beck, disrespectfully. Paul Ryan even required his staff to read the novel, citing Atlas Shrugged as, quote, the reason I got into public service, which actually goes directly against the book.
Yeah. It's really confusing. I'm sorry, Jordan, like, people like you and me are just never going to be on this level. We're just never going to be the jacked ass, the jacked, covered in gold Atlas, just holding the world together, just... Yeah, no, that's not us, brother. We're beta. Okay.
I have the body of a CEO, at least. Pudgy.
No, you got the body of a man who don't got time, brother.
I have the body of CEO's secret lover. I'm gonna blackmail him later.
You have the body of a CEO's secret lover that he doesn't see because of the glory hole.
Yeah.
Could be anybody. Who knows?
So after Paul Ryan got mocked for attempting to use objectivist themes in his policies, they never got accepted because research shows it doesn't work. He flipped on the novel and said he doesn't really believe in objectivism anymore. That's his current stance.
Doesn't really believe in... Is that a quote? Like,
yeah, like he's I was young.
All right.
So as I was saying before, we have put this kind of to the test. There was supposed to be an actual fucking objectivist utopia in Chile called Galt's Gulch.
Oh, this shit happened?
In 2013. But
oh, fuck.
Here you go. The plans had to be suspended because the participants kept getting fraud charges. They couldn't even get it off the ground because, wouldn't you know it, all these rich people fucking suck.
Oh, you mean they had to support themselves all of a sudden? Like...
Yeah, in prison. A movie version of Atlas Shrugged was in development hell for 39 years. This is a
good.
Thing. Yeah. No, it got made, which I kind of want to see it. So here's the thing. Certain books are said to be in development hell, like if you look on Wikipedia, there are things called unfilmable movies, and it's usually because the book is just so long or like big or like hard to get the ideas out there. You know, like Ulysses for a very long time was seen as an unfilmable movie, partly because it's just gibberish. And then, like, you know, other movies like that, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, an unfilmable movie because of its violence. Atlas Shrugged was more of an unfilmable movie because, fuck, like, nobody wants to...
Trains? Trains were like, okay, trains were literally 3/4 of at least in the outline you gave me, trains were 3/4 of that.
It's the whole book, man. It's talking about trains.
And forget the fucking middle-aged dude bringing you into your basement. Now it's Ayn Rand. And then she's like, hey, I want to show you something. And she puts on a little conductor hat and brings you down to the basement.
Yeah.
And shows you your model train set. Like,
I'll watch that movie. Rand waited for someone to want to adapt the novel into a screenplay, but basically everyone knew she was hell to work with and for no financial gain. Atlas Shrugged was put on a list as I was saying, unfilmable movies alongside Infinite Jest and Don Quixote. Problem is, those are big books with large, complicated plots where you can't cut them down. Atlas Shrugged was deemed unfilmable because you could make the movie as long as you wanted, and it would still be a bad story.
Atlas Shrugged, on HBO, the series.
Proof in point, the Atlas Shrugged movie.
Oh.
It was finally released as part 1 of a 3-part trilogy in 2011, and it fucking bombed. $20 million budget and a $4.6 million return.
I think I remember that.
Less than 25% of its... Yeah. But the guy who did the music for Battlefield Earth did the score, so, hey. That's all I could find of it. Nobody else is of note.
Yeah, Battlefield Earth.
The second part had its budget halved at $10 million and had a return of $3.5 million. The final film had a budget of $5 million and a return of $850,000. You know who did it better? BioShock. Just watch that.
Yeah.
Watch somebody on YouTube play it or play it yourself. It was due to the poor reception of her novels, but the ego-inflating of the objectivist philosophy within them, that she figured that she shouldn't just try being a novelist, but be a philosopher full-time instead. You remember that person she was banging in New York that was part of her little philosophers group?
No.
Her husband said it's fine if you do cuckolding. Anyways,
yeah.
Guy's name.
Swinging, I don't know.
Guy's name was Nathaniel Branden, and it was Ayn Rand's goal to become a name-brand philosopher that they together created the Nathaniel Branden Institute. For a while, Rand projected her philosophy on audiences at Yale, Princeton, Harvard. She did this throughout the early 60s, but it was the Q&A sections at the end you would stay for. Ayn Rand would get fucking pissed at people questioning objectivism. Like, people would just sit through 2 hours of her lectures just so that at the end people would be like, hey, how about this glaring obvious point that you seem to fail to mention?
And I'm just picturing her just like building up like the longest, dumbest, most boring thing. Like, hopefully I could just weed out more people. There's just like 4 dudes in the front row like, no, go on, please. I'll wait. It's worth it.
She also had some interesting views. She was all for abortion, but called Vietnam draft dodgers bums and was all for taking Native American land. She was a little all over the place. In 1964, she found out her side piece Nathaniel Branden was hooking up with someone else in her little philosophy group that wasn't her, and so she left the Institute. The Institute tried to stay open without Rand, but he eventually closed its doors in 1968. Lewis and Clark College gave Rand an honorary doctorate of humane letters in 1963.
Whoa,
Our Lewis and Clark College.
What the fuck is an honorary doctorate? What is that?
You know, my grandfather got one of those. It's pretty much just like we recognize the fact that had you the money and the education, we would love for you to say that you were part of our school.
What? Lewis and Clark?
Our Lewis and Clark College, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they honored Ayn Rand.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I have to imagine it's for her very liberal views as taking Native American land.
Okay, no. Alright, yep, that makes sense. Okay, next time I work at Lewis and Clark. Whoops, didn't realize there was a water line there.
Rand continued her lectures during the 70s, but was considerably slowed down by surgery she had in 1974 due to her heavy smoking giving her lung cancer. At this point in her life, Ayn Rand hasn't made as much money during doing philosophy talks as she thought she would. I mean, that was partly why she decided to do this whole Nathaniel Branden Institute, was to basically stamp a fucking letterhead that said Ayn Rand and then became like a household name and things, like basically products, philosophy books,
she's just
shit like that.
Dude.
But nobody would buy it. That's the issue. So at this point, she hasn't written a book in 20 years, and no one wants to be the adaptation to Atlas Shrugged she'd been working on. Like, nobody wants to do that. And gosh, surgeries are expensive. Looks like somebody needs Social Security and Medicare. But objectivism says those things are bad because the weak should die. So what does she do? She takes Social Security and Medicare and touts how bad it is from a hospital bed that she's not paying for. Her husband, Frank O'Connor, died in late 1979, and Ayn Rand would follow 2.5 years later of heart failure on March 6, 1982. Her addiction probably didn't help too much there. She was, God, what'd she have? Morphine addiction, I think. At her funeral, a 6-foot floral dollar sign was planted beside her casket. 6 feet. She is survived by a quote from the fountainhead that is etched on Disney World's Epcot Center.
What?
Throughout the centuries, there were men who took first steps down new roads armed with nothing but their own vision. My sources today,
the fuck
and for last episode,
God damn it.
We the Living by Ayn Rand, Signet Classics, 30th printing. Anthem by Ayn Rand, Signet, says 1946, but I'm pretty sure this edition is from like the 80s or 90s. The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, Signet, 1993. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, Signet, 1996. Wikipedia. By the way, all the introductions to these books are just absolute jerk-off material. Very fucking hoity-toity about shitty writing. Like, she does the forwards for pretty much all of them, I think, and she's just like, really, I had to find someone brave enough to try and publish a book as upstanding as Anthem. And it's like, no, nobody wanted it because it was bad.
Is she? I mean, I feel like a lot of like alt-right douchebags that have followings just kind of follow that same model of like generally being disliked by every single fucking, by like the majority of people, but they just like humanity. Build it like following, like, right? Was she just the first person to like just make money off of
no. She's,
like
she's
Caitlyn Bennett, like we talked about in the first episode, like, yeah, no, your career is taking advantage of dumb fucks. Like,
no, well, yeah, that's kind of the thing, is that's, I don't know. I'm sure that there is a word for it out there somewhere, but there's got to be a word for people who just say people hate me because they're haters. They hate that I'm right. They hate that I'm too brave, that I'm speaking the truth. Yeah, pretty much. That's the whole thing, like, hey, you can't say that, that's politically incorrect. And it's like, I don't care if it's politically incorrect, it's
like,
just
no, we're not
correct.
telling you it's politically incorrect. I'm literally presenting to you the information as to why it's wrong.
Yeah.
You are wrong.
I know. Yeah. No, she's not the first. She's not going to be the last either. But,
sick, dude.
Yeah.
Alright. Well,
I kind of want to watch the Atlas Shrugged movie, I'm not going to lie. I bet it's real fucking bad.
What are we doing tonight? Are we watching the Atlas Shrugged movie, or are we watching the bad video game movies?
Oh, Uwe Boll?
Yeah.
Oh, man. You haven't seen any of those?
No, man.
That's going to be a different marathon all on its own.
All right, I'll tell you what we're going to fucking do.
I'm going to go to bed because I have work tomorrow.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I got work tomorrow.
You clown. What are you...
I mean, I'm finishing this 6-pack and then I'm going to bed, but...
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, tell you what. All right, so... Good episode. Good writing. Thank you, Jordan. Let's go talk more about, Fart Slave.